Like they don't get to see the whole intro, but like,
They don't
there's
get to see
something
the whole
before
intro?
us. No, I don't think so. I think only we get to see the whole intro. That's just for us. Anyway, welcome to Cracked Movie Club, the show where we do a book club, but for movies, which are like books, but better. I'm your host, Jordan Breeding, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Jesse and Allie. Say hello.
Hello.
What's up?
What's up?
And we've also got guest and new Cracked video producer, Michael Strauss. Can you also say hello, if you don't mind?
Also, hello.
That's him. That's it. That's the big introduction.
Can the court note that he said hello? Can you also say hello?
I've also said hello.
And so we're going to be talking about Elvis today, the man, the myth, and the recent film that's just came out. And the alternate title that's currently up is Snow Job, which I think is pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
No one has ever said that phrase so many times in any movie.
Well, they've never said it one time, but in this they said it 40 times.
I did go look it up afterwards to be like, is that real? And it is real, but I cannot find what it like means. Like I was like, what I made up in my brain was that like it's that feeling of like walking into a storm that's like it's like a whiteout and you like don't know where you are and you sort of lose direction but it's like a little exciting and a little scary. I made that up in my brain and I went to go look up like if that is true and I cannot find like the definition of what it means. So if anybody knows, I'd love to know.
I think it's a sexual rendezvous with Jack Frost, the snowman.
Who is, by the way, is a historical figure. Jack Frost is not fictional.
I'm also related to him. Johnny Appleseed, Dr. Manhattan, all the big ones.
Wow.
So
big blue ass.
Big blue ass. That's me, baby.
How many seconds in are we?
Monetization gone. So for those of you that are watching for the first time ever, feel free to throw comments, suggestions, slurs, I know you people, in the chat, and we will star the ones that are interesting to us or specifically to Brian. Brian is managing all that. And then at the end, we'll talk about some of that stuff. And also we do, please don't throw slurs. Brian is quick today. And we'll also do alternate titles. So if you could think of a better title for the movie Elvis than Elvis, throw it in there. Or better than Snow Job, but good luck. All right. So I'm gonna recap this movie real quick and we'll dive right in. This movie is about Elvis Presley, who's a real person.
Now, see, they didn't explicitly say that, so I wasn't. So it is Elvis Presley. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. I thought it was a different Elvis. It's not.
Costello, of course.
I thought it was Elvis from the Z Morning Zoo.
I don't know what that is, but again. You were
nobody grew up in your 10-block radius of your neighborhood.
It's New York City. It's Z100.
100.3.
Allie, how are you? 100.3.
Yeah, Z100.
I live in Virginia, and I'm never going to leave, no matter how hard I try. Michael, why did we watch this movie?
Why did we watch this movie? Elvis is obviously this huge icon. He represents a lot of Americanism, rock and roll. However you want to cut it, Elvis is way too famous for his own good, or perhaps in Baz Luhrmann's view, he deserved even more fame, but was inhibited by his overbearing manager, Colonel Tom Parker, who was not a colonel and name was not Tom Parker. So we have those kinds of like fallacies that we don't even understand about Elvis that are kind of exposed throughout this movie. It's a very interesting take on who Elvis was. And yeah, Austin Butler is kind of incredible in the movie, which is whether you have like positive or negative thoughts about the film, it's that in and of itself kind of makes it worth watching, I think, personally. I actually got to sit down with an Elvis tribute artist and got to talk about this a little bit. And he also, Elvis tribute artist, by the way, is the proper terminology that you use for Elvis impersonator. So that's very important that everyone knows this.
Is that because, not to offend the tribute artist community, is that because a tribute artist like goes through like wanting to do like an amazing like vocal impersonation and they perform as them, whereas like an impersonator is like a guy who just like stops you on the street and like isn't really like dedicating themselves to the craft?
Yeah, I think they're separating themselves from the Times Square community. There's a distinction.
I wouldn't. If I was the person who did Elmo, I wouldn't want someone to be like, I saw Elmorp in Times Square. You're the same. I'd be like, it's not the same. Mine's craft.
Yeah, that's not the part they're changing, but sure, that's a good metaphor. But not like
tribute
I'm Gelvis.
This guy was really cool, by the way. We should, and he does shows in New York, right? Like in Queens. We should all go check it out sometime.
I would go.
Over, like Brooklyn, Queens.
But I will be taking off my pants.
You're taking off your pants?
100%. I was inspired by how absolutely lawless the women were in the movie. And I was like, why aren't I doing stuff like that? That sounds fun.
In solidarity, if you want him to take his pants off, you should take off your pants as a gesture of token of goodwill, good faith.
Yeah, I mean, like, it was more like he didn't take his pants off, but he would like pick it up and then be like, remember, like, there were like a couple really
they almost
silly,
rip his clothes off.
He has a couple really silly moments. It was kind of wild.
He's like,
apparently,
can you believe this?
So there's a lot of scenes in the movie that didn't happen in real life, but that scene where he deep throats the microphone, that did happen in real life.
Yes.
And
I've seen that clip so many times in the last week.
I was hoping we could get a GIF of it, just sort of like in
another. That's what a snow job is. That's a snow job.
Oh my god!
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So
you're
you're
just singing Santa Claus songs as it happens. So we have found that this podcast seems to do better and get better reach when we say something controversial. So Jesse has a hot take that he'd like to begin with.
Whoa. Is that the
Tom Hanks turns me on.
I
don't know that I specifically have a hot take, but I think
it's not a hot
take.
Take.
They probably glossed over the like racial insensitivity of the rise of Elvis. Like my one. So before I really like galvanize my hot take, I would love to hear accounts from contemporary Black artists of the time and see if they were actually cool with him. But the way I understand Elvis and his rise to being like the king of rock and roll is that he did benefit from the music and the culture and the dance moves of Black artists. Whether he did it purposely or not, he would not have, landed where he did without it. And so it seemed a little weird to me where they were like, oh, don't worry. He was kind of sad about Martin Luther King getting shot. So like, he's an ally. It's cool.
Yeah, there was an interesting moment where, I don't know why the guy made me think of Lionel Richie for some reason, but the guy that was dancing and playing the piano and going nuts in, whatever club.
Little Richard.
Club
it was Little Richard.
Was it
Little Richard?
Oh, was
yeah,
Little
yeah,
Richard?
Yes.
Little Richard.
Oh, okay.
Not Lionel Richie, but Little
okay.
Richard.
Yeah, sorry. It's, similar structures of names. Anyway, they literally say at some point, he's like, I want to record that song. And the guy's like, well, it'll do a lot better if you do it than if he does it.
Yeah.
And like, yeah.
And they
cool.
I definitely think like
there's no him writing that guy a check or anything. It's just very
the movie definitely does a good job of being like, hey, anytime a person is like one of a kind, it's probably because behind the scenes that you don't know, they have benefited from something, which I think is like a very fair take about basically anybody who's famous. And I do like that it like went out of its way to do that while it was like lionizing this person as like an American icon. But like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I was happy that the movie like took some time to point it out without necessarily going into like a evil versus good sort of thing. But then it did sort of go way over the line when people would be like, oh, Elvis, you can do anything. They're not going to get you. You're a sweet little white boy. And I was like, no one talked to him like this. There's simply no way that any human ever opened their mouth and said these words to this man.
And like that kind of discourse, it feels like a much more modern discourse. Like just that string of words probably didn't happen in the 50s and 60s.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think like, I thought it was really interesting. So I didn't know until this past week, the whole thing with his manager being this Dutch freak with no passport and all that, which is super interesting, but I don't think it's enough. But I think it's like a weird thing for them to have made that the whole window that we see Elvis's career through. I would much rather they tackled it from a historically accurate sort of presentation of like his connection to the Black artist community. That feels more important to me than being able to shove Tom Hanks in a fat suit.
I do appreciate
like people like sitting down and like talking about like their parasocial / actual real relationship with Elvis through time as like collaborators.
I get that would be cool. Yeah, that sounds interesting to me. That sounds like a better vehicle.
I think you're just saying that like instead of the entire perspective being Colonel Tom Parker, it could have been, at least in this instance, BB King or something, could have been like him watching the rise. Although
Sure.
it seems like their relationship was maybe overplayed as well a little bit. I
But
think
guys, if Tom Hanks hadn't been the window into this movie, we'd have never had a moment where he sits at a poker table all by himself, turns around, spikes the camera, and says, "I don't remember what," but just sort of like, "You don't know Elvis, I do." Then we would have never had that.
So I feel like, to your point, Jesse, I think the thing that I struggled with the most, the cinematography is amazing. Although I will say it does a lot of like, do you know that you're watching a movie? You're watching a movie. It's a movie, because the transitions are so impossible and so crazy, and even just weird crap where they're like on the tarmac about to get on an airplane. I'm like, that's the CGest looking freaking airplane I've ever seen in my life. Just weird, like everything has to be this surreal world of crazy. I thought that was all really cool and really interesting, but I almost wish it was applied to a mythical character, because I struggled to know what was like. I just never bought in that this was actually Elvis. I mean, I know that a lot of it was, and obviously Austin Butler, as you pointed out, Michael, is amazing, and he at least gives the impression of Elvis, and I think he's very Elvis-like. But as far as like his history and his life, I was just struggling. I was like, is this real, or is this? It all feels so played up and so fairy tale that
I think that ties into
buy in.
What I think is my like number one critique of the movie, which by the way, I really liked. I had like a great time, and the end drags like a lot because the movie's like very long. But basically, until then, the movie to me like flew by, and it's like anchored by like an incredible star-making performance, and it looks insane. It's great. It's also terrible at times, but like I say that with love. I don't know how to explain like why I feel that way. Whatever, I'll get to that. But like my main critique of this, of this sort of feeling like you're apart from this mythological creature, is that like none of it was about his creative process at all. And for like
I don't
a
even
movie,
know if he had one.
well, and so I'm saying, wouldn't it be cool if we actually did know like what his creative process was? And so to me, it is weird to choose to make a movie about an artist and like never show them like actively creating. There's a lot of performance sequences, which were, by the way, were amazing. That like montage of him doing the residency in Las Vegas, where it's like all the different outfits and all the different like that's all so much fun. And there's one scene where he's doing the residency in Las Vegas where he's like, you'll do this and you'll be on the drums and then do that up the octave. And there's only one scene of that in the whole movie. Otherwise, it would just be him being like, I'm going to record Hound Dog. Cut to Hound Dog. No, like how he wanted to change it. That even the one part where he's like, we got to do something. Bobby Kennedy got shot. And then the next day he has a fully finished song. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, there's nothing. There was no insight into like the brain of the man. And like
so
that is
weird.
I
I don't know if you're aware that he never wrote anything ever. He never wrote a single song. He only played songs that other people wrote for him. I actually thought it was interesting when they showed him sitting by the piano, kind of reading about, here's what we're going to do to talk about freedom or
right.
You know, whatever. After Bobby Kennedy's been shot, I was like, I wonder if that's actually playing it up, because he didn't write anything. He was just like good at guitar. And
that's what I wanted to like know. And it's so weird that like I have now seen 2 hours and 40 minutes worth of movie about a man, and I am no closer to understanding.
I don't even know if he was that good at the guitar. Like, I don't even know if he could play that much guitar, because there's so many times he stops strumming in the middle
and then he just lays around.
Yeah, or he just uses it as like it's like become a motif. It's like a joke.
Yeah, he's one of those rhythm guitarists where they put enough dudes around him where it's like, you could play or not. You see this ironically in like megachurch worship stuff where they're like 38 people with guitars on stage, but only like 2 are ever playing at any given time. It's just like an aesthetic. It's just like, just imagine if this was audible in any sort of way. And I feel like that's what he's doing. What I was going to say though is I was reading about him today, and there were certain things like where he at one showcase or something relatively early in his career, he got paired up with some drummer that had been playing in a lot of strip clubs, and so they had some weird beat that really worked, and they just started doing that under him. So to your point, Michael, he's like, who knows what he's playing, but all the band behind him would just be like, we're going to do this crazy rhythm now. And they talked about his bassist would just try new things. and it's a little bit like the that scene in Walk the Line, and it's parodied in I think You Should Leave and a billion other things where they're just like, play some in G, and they're like, ding, 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 like they're just playing like they didn't write songs back then, at least initially, in the same
They didn't
way
write
that
songs back then. It was all made up.
no, I'm just saying in the way that you think
Improv.
traditionally now, where it's like, oh, every like especially like a more intentional band or whatever, they're just like, yeah, we just start riffing, or it's like what's that movie, That Thing You Do, where he just like starts playing a different drum beat, and they're like, oh, we all got to do it, and everybody starts freaking out because that's how easy it was to be good at music in the
Another
50s.
Tom Hanks movie.
Another fantastic.
He's
Yeah,
the man.
Allie
one
knows,
too.
Yeah.
Allie
great.
knows better than anybody how easy it is to improvise music. It looks easy because it is easy.
Because it is easy. Because you can just make anything up and nobody will ever question you. I mean, I guess it is sort of. I guess it is sort of like one of those things where if you give somebody who is an artist enough time and space, they will produce something of quality, and that like a lot of people out there like aren't producing stuff because it's like unbelievably prohibitive to rent a studio space. And a lot of the movie Elvis is him just like walking around an empty studio being like, I gotta think, and like he has like so much time and money and people around him to think that it's like
he didn't think
ends up
on his
producing
own.
things.
He didn't think on his own. I think I watched this like Charlie Rose interview with BB King somehow, and they're talking about Elvis in it, and which is like a testament to the BB King relationship. And I don't know if BB King and him actually had that strong of a relationship, but BB King is saying that he saw Elvis in the bars all the time, and he was just this like tall, good-looking guy who was extremely talented. And once he stopped doing the rockabilly music, which was like the early Sun Records stuff, and again, they don't talk about this at all in the movie, but like after he starts doing that stuff, he started to just be extremely impressive, and he did, these black music styles that essentially everyone claims were ripped off. But the movie, I think, says that it's inspired. I don't know. I think that's the movie's take. But it's really interesting.
And it's really cool, as Allie's saying, like visually, there's a lot of cool stuff. I mean, it's a little long again, especially as it gets sad. Like it's not it doesn't go anywhere fun. It's just like, oh, right, he dies. Spoiler. But I think
some people would argue that he died. Some people would say that's not a spoiler. Some people would say he lives.
That's true. Do we see his dead body in this movie? I don't remember. No. So he may have escaped.
So
there's a post-credit scene, but
where he comes.
Yeah,
Elvis will return. Elvis,
in the post-credit scene, there's like a body bag, and then the hand goes out, and it's like wearing a ring that says EP, and that's how you know it's Elvis. So
and it grabs a guitar.
Yeah.
And again, all I was going to say is that it didn't necessarily detract. It's not like it detracted from the movie the way that it was filmed, but it definitely detracted from my ability to like connect and believe that it was portraying something real, even though it was, but it was sort of this fable version of Elvis.
Totally.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know enough about Elvis, which is why we've got a freaking 1015 Elvis in the chat.
Thanks, 1015 Elvis.
Helping us out. But it's just, I think it goes so quickly that I didn't fully. This is always my thing, I guess, is, I need more daddy-daughter relationships so I can connect with the characters or something. It just ripped through things so fast where he's like, he's got a girlfriend, she's gone. She's got a mom, they yell, she's dead. Dad, I'm so mad at you. It's like, I haven't even been in the scenes. Don't get mad at me.
What? I don't know if we have yet invented a word for the style of filmmaking that Elvis is. It is certainly maximalism, but it's also everythingism. It's everything but the kitchen sinkinism. Every possible narrative device, visual device, editing device, everything that has yet been invented for film is in this film, which I think is probably pretty polarizing. I think there are probably some people who watch this film and are like, that was impossible to watch. My eyes hurt. And I think there are probably some people who were like, oh my God, it was like a visual masterpiece. I was never bored. It was incredible. But like, they'll be like, hey, Elvis liked comic books. Okay, hold on. This has not happened in the movie before, and it will not happen again. What if we had a comic book sequence? It's animated, right. And then it is. And like that, like anything goes at any time. There are no rules.
Yeah.
Sometimes there are 18 squares and all of them are Elvis. Sometimes Tom Hanks talks to the camera. Like, it's like there's no rules. Like, it's just whatever I feel like in this moment.
It was emotional. It was a very emotional film, and I think it was very evocative and definitely lacked. Everyone's like, I wish I saw the day to day, more of the day to day, or a little bit more of this, like an actual scene, right?
Yeah.
But it was
Right.
just so emotional. It was like, this is what it to me. It was like, this is what it was like to experience Elvis, to sit and be wowed and be like, I've never seen anyone like this before.
Yeah.
I am now going to rip his clothes off. I mean, I don't know.
I will say that, like, it did make me, like, kind of jealous, not like of specifically seeing an Elvis show.
You're going to go a
I know
different
what you're gonna say.
emotional route.
Don't worry, I'll get there. I just mean, like, when you watch a portrayal that, like, is then backed up by, like, real footage where people are acting exactly the same way they acted in the film, where women are just like, kiss me. Like, I'm like, that's crazy. Like, I want to experience what they're experiencing. And I will say that, like, the closest thing I've ever seen to that in real life is that I'm like a huge fan of Prince, and I have been since I was like 6, which is a sick thing to say, but it's true. And his estate is very careful about what material they put out, but they have like tons of concerts filmed and things. So like if you like subscribe to the official Prince YouTube channel, the estate will be like, cool, we're going to put up this concert from Minneapolis from 1987. It's going to be up for 2 weeks exactly. If you want to donate to whatever, this is the thing that we're choosing. But otherwise, it'll be up for exactly this amount of time, and then we're taking it down. And then like after it's gone, it's gone. And so I have watched many Prince concerts that were filmed. And women are passing out. Women are losing consciousness and being taken out to the lobby to recover from whatever it is that they are experiencing. And the fact that I never got to experience that in person is probably my greatest regret.
Well, I feel like I'm always surprised by how like there's always like a new pop culture celebrity that gets that sort of like gets people that like mass aroused. So like Justin Bieber had that moment. Like
think people were passing out at Justin Bieber concerts?
I think so. I remember at least
bet.
the media covering it as such. And then so we got Bieber. I remember when they first started comparing him to Elvis, because he went from being like a little precocious kid to like a sex symbol who was still too young, but was becoming like the hottest thing in music. Also, just look at all kinds of K-pop. Like right now, there are people passing out just watching YouTube videos of their favorite K-pop concerts.
I actually think that like the best example would be like Harry Styles, for sure.
Well,
yeah,
right.
people do love Harry Styles, but are they like
people are getting like emotionally sexually charged over Harry Styles the last like year or so?
But are they like worked up into a
I don't know. I've never actually been to a
frenzy?
Harry Styles concert, but
And again, they're not getting put on YouTube by the
shows.
estate.
I'm
I'm just saying there's a difference between like fan obsessive behavior and what was possessing those women in that concert. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that feeling of like that one of the best scenes is one of the first like country music concerts he plays, where he like whips it out. I don't know what you would call it. He does one of his songs that's not like Cody Smith McPhee's song, and women just start being like, sorry. Like, and like, because like something is happening to them. Like, and I loved that scene. I thought it was like very well acted and funny, but also real. And like, that is not obsessive behavior. That is not like, I know every member of the band's name and I love them, they're going to marry me. That is like something inside you coming out. That is like, you don't have like control over it.
So, I actually read The Atlantic had an article about this not that long ago, and I wish I could remember more of the conclusion of it, but this is like, there's some sort of phenomenon to it where Beatles had this, they stopped playing partially because they couldn't invent sound equipment louder than screaming women at their concerts. They just like couldn't project, and they're like, screw this, like we're artists. This is not what it's about. We're going to go to India forever. But they like, this thing keeps happening and it's unclear, but I think Tom Hanks did a pretty good job of at least starting to posit a theory, which is like the most attractive things, and maybe particularly to teenage women that scream, is
Say
this
it in
like
the voice.
Say it in the voice.
Well, I can't.
Yeah.
So he said West
What, did he
Virginia really
pause it?
early on, and I was sitting there being like, that can't be West Virginia. Is that some crazy backwards ass town? And then it became Netherlands or whatever. And the accent just
Okay, but what
I
did he
heard
pause
girls,
it?
Davy.
I heard somebody
They see things that it doesn't make any sense to me. I can't place the accent.
I
what
saw
it
a
was.
tweet. I saw a tweet that was like his performance was inspired by Watto. This
I mean, kind
the
of.
Star Wars little freak.
I think that's a different ethnicity, but it doesn't matter. Basically he's saying like they're seeing something that they're not sure they should enjoy because of
Yes.
the moral implications. However, they very much do, and so they're having a hard. It's like the inner turmoil of it, then leading to screw it. I'm just going to roll with it, and then
Yeah.
I think there's sort of also like. There's a sunk cost fallacy in there where you're like, well, once I've screamed and I've given myself over to the sin of watching the junk bounce, I should just go for it, because you can't half-assedly be like, kind of like letting it hit you in the side of the face and being like, I don't know, maybe I like it. You gotta tug at it. This is something I hope my daughters never hear.
I
So
love
we might.
that.
Yeah,
Of
we
all the
might
things we're
sense-
going to take out of context, this is the number one, I think, actually. But it's actually weirdly, we have talked about this feeling on this podcast before about watching movies that are like slightly inappropriate for you
Oh.
when you're a kid, and like
Oh,
the
sure.
like excitement and the draw, and the fact that you can like go back to a movie that you objectively can see is not great, but like you're still like, this still shaped me though, because like I felt like it was just sort of like parting Pandora's box. And I was like, you don't get to know about that yet, but you've had a little taste. So go think about that for a while, 12-year-old. And you're like, I will.
Risky
I will
think
about
business.
that. Yeah. do you know what I mean?
Ooh,
Like,
yeah.
it's just like,
Weird
it's like
science.
it's stuff that like sort of worms
yeah.
into your brain. And then you're just sort of like, why did Drew Barrymore look like that in that Batman movie? Do you know what I mean? And then like, that's it. Like, it's like, well, and I can't tell. Sorry. Beep. Ran away from
Get
me.
real pumped about it. Yeah.
I don't know.
Drew
But we've talked
Barrymore.
we've talked about that feeling of just like getting a taste of something a little too scary, a little too sexual, a little too something, and you being like, "Ooh, I wish that you had given me a little bit more. I'm a little scared to find out, but I also want to know." And that
Yeah.
can like wire your brain basically permanently.
Well, and it's so all of the music that we've described that affected people in this way is all generally pretty tame, right? Like you don't see people at a Guar concert being like, ooh, like I'm giving in to my girly fandom instincts, because it's too far, right? Like I think it's all these things that straddle that line. Like if you're watching an NC-17 like slasher where people are getting shredded as an 8-year-old, you're probably not like, maybe I'm not allowed to watch. You're like, oh
yeah, you're like, oh no,
this
no,
is
no.
terrifying to me
Yeah,
at a
for
deep
sure.
level. And so they're back. Speaking
Oh
of,
my
oh shoot,
God.
Ryan and I are
Hey.
fighting
We
over
missed
the
you.
controls.
We missed you last week.
I know. I was like,
didn't
where
put
do I
Audrey rolls.
sex cheaper than tender? It's like everywhere is so
OMG.
expensive for the sex.
Guys,
It's because we're
where
talking
were
about
you?
Elvis. Talking
Yeah.
about Elvis, getting everyone riled up. It's
Yeah,
good.
they were not horny for
Healthy.
old, clearly. So
But my point being that like even Prince, it's all these people that do a good job of just pissing off your parents, basically. Like they're not really I mean, Elvis actually seems to have pushed a little bit harder because
He was arrested. He was
Yeah,
arrested.
legal
I mean, that's
legal stuff. Nobody's
really?
arresting
Crazy.
Harry Styles because he's talking about watermelon sugar, and you're like, what is that?
send him overseas. He has to
True.
fight for our country. Bye bye,
Yeah.
Birdie.
Put him in Dunkirk. That'll teach him. some
Yeah, they
more.
based Elvis's life off of Bye Bye Birdie. Too.
Yeah.
For all the musical
Bye bye, Birdie
theater
was
nerds.
first, and then they were like, "Wait
Yeah.
a minute, that's crazy! You invented a guy who
That's
women
a
are
great
crazy for? We should do
idea.
that in real life, and we should
Um,
send him to war."
Yeah. But anyway, so I agree with you. I think that's the most fascinating part of the movie for me was just seeing that depicted and being like, how did anybody hear freaking Hound Dog and like just try and get at the peen of the man saying it? Like it's just such a
Because
dramatic thing. And they did a
was-
pretty good job of like You're like, yeah, I guess I could get up there. I mean, I'm eating popcorn right now, but when I'm done, maybe I'll.
Right. I think that is what I think of all the things the movie does, because it does a lot of things. It definitely like captures the tenor of a Elvis concert. The emotional heights, what he's truly good at, what he moved and danced and sounded like, what that made the audience feel. Like, it is very immersive in that sense. And that, like, I feel like if you're an Elvis fan who like watches and has seen all of his concerts, I feel like watching this movie makes you go, yeah, totally. Like, they have accurately captured what makes this guy so special. And I think if you're not, I think it's like, oh, okay, I see. I mean, I wouldn't take off my pants, but I get it. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like that is like the movie's greatest. That's the movie's real strength, is like being like, you can see, right? You can see how this happened. You can see why people went nuts, and you're like, yeah, I get it. I do.
So, Michael, I think did we mention that you hired not an impersonator? What's the right way to say
Tribute
it?
artist, Elvis tribute artist.
Tribute artist for a video that's now out on our Snapchat on Movie Club. What I really liked about that, some of my favorite parts were the tribute artist talking about what's his Austin Butler got right, down to like the minute movements. Do you remember some of the specifics of the shit that this guy was impressed with?
Yeah, I mean, some of it's like a little, esoteric. It's like, it really hits like a very specific moment. But a lot of the film talks about like some big concerts that Elvis had, and one of those is like this big comeback he had in 1968. So this Elvis tribute artist's name is Lamar Peters. You can look him up, and he loved what he did in that when he sings, I think, Hound Dog, and it's like everyone's seeing him sing this song for the first time in like 10 years. So, and everyone's now comfortable with it and familiar with it. So he says that Elvis had to kind of hit this move, and he even couldn't do it. But I mean, I would kind of get up and do it right now, but I'm afraid of knocking everything over. I'm going to knock everything over. Watch the video. I actually kind of do it in the video, but he talks about how everyone does. Actually, this is in Vegas more specifically, but he talks about everyone like does this thing where they like swing a microphone, but actually he's just like shaking his body, and the microphone swinging is like a byproduct of that movement. So he was saying like Austin Butler got that right. And this guy performs as Elvis consistently. So I think that all of those things are extremely like interesting to know, like someone who's studied the ins and outs of every leg shake. The other thing was not doing too much. It says a lot of people who go to do Elvis just want to do too much and constantly move, but it was actually like in certain moments of, I don't know, like fear or anxiety where he started to do a lot of these movements. So I don't know. Stuff like that.
That makes it sound like he is very similar to the lead singer from Taking Back Sunday. I don't know.
Dude, I was just thinking that. I feel like...
Yes! I wasn't sure if that crossed your path or not.
Are you talking about that one clip of him like recently?
Oh, no. In all of his music videos, he tapes up his mic and he throws it around. That's like his... You got to make damn sure. And then he'll throw his mic. And
no, what he's doing is a lot more interesting than what Elvis was doing, I think. But... different for sure.
I've always said Taking Back Sunday is like Elvis, but better.
Oh yeah, for sure. Directly inspired, I think.
Well, now I don't know what the hell I was going to talk about. Yes, the Elvis person mentions Elvis had stage fright. That they do show that in the movie. It's kind of like he wiggled. It just happened that his fear is sexy, which is man, that's lucky.
I do understand him being like, I can't access the voice if I can't move. I get that. That like makes a lot of sense. And like that, I feel like many people say that as artists in some way or another, of just being like, the instrument is not separate from the body. The body creates the instrument. Like you don't get the performance you want, even just vocally, if I can't like move behind the mic. Like they're in the recording studio and they're like, Elvis, you're moving too much. The mic's not picking you up. Yeah. And he's like, I gotta swing these hips or I can't sing the way I sing. I don't know.
There were some Dewey Cox moments in this movie where they were like, Elvis, how dare you do that? You guys are hitting the nail on that here.
You can't do that specific thing. That's against our societal norms.
There was a show.
Elvis, you don't want none of this shit. You don't want none of this shit,
you don't want
Elvis.
It makes you feel amazing, Elvis. Stop.
Yeah, you don't want this.
Okay, this is for no one, and I apologize. Maybe Michael. We'll see. There was a show that was on Broadway, and it was called The Cher Show, and it was about Cher's life. Did anybody see Cher Show? Michael, you saw Cher
Sorry,
Show?
No, I didn't. I didn't see Cher Show. I know who Cher is, but I did not see the Cher Show.
Okay, the Cher Show was the Elvis, but for Cher on Broadway. They had 3 different women play Cher throughout her life, but they also could all be on stage together talking to each other. The script was beyond what words can explain, and it
was awesome.
I mean, I will say that I felt molecularly changed when I walked out of the Cher Show. I felt I was a different person, and I still feel I'm a different. That before and after are two different women. Was it good? Simply no. It was one of the worst things maybe ever on Broadway stage. But the dialogue would be like, "Come on, Cher, it's 1968. Have some pot." And this movie was the closest I've ever gotten to recreating what it felt like to see the Cher Show. At one point during the Cher Show, she's talking to Sonny Bono, and they're on a black stage. There's no set. She's just talking to Sonny Bono. And then she goes, "Sonny, are you really dead?" And he goes, "Yeah. Why didn't I see that tree?" These are lines from the Cher Show. This happened.
No. Okay.
So really, honestly, I think I might have loved Elvis because I was like, "This is Cher Show." Anyway, one person has seen it, and they're gonna just absolutely go mad. Hi, cat. Sorry, my cat just burst into the door.
We're talking Cher Show.
we're Shat and Cher.
I mean,
That's our
it
new
was
segment.
spectacular. It was so bad. It was horrible, but it was so amazing.
How long was that on Broadway? When did this exist?
It was before the pandemic, so I'm going to say it was like winter of 2019-ish.
Oh, recent though. I was imagining
No,
this
wait, maybe 2018.
in the distant past.
No.
As
This
like
was
a
recent.
deep memory of yours that is like
No.
resurrected. to
Stephanie
viewing
J.
this film.
Block won a Tony Award for it not long ago. Like, this just happened.
Okay.
And it's like every rule you've ever learned about writing or stagecraft, they went, what if instead we tried it?
Great.
What if instead and it was a lot of just her being like, stop with those drugs. 2018.
Great.
Thank you,
I
Brian.
did hear Baz Luhrmann though does that. He's like hearing people bring stuff in. He's like, that's a great idea. Let's bring that into my vision more. So maybe that's why there's all these like animated sequences. There's just like everything.
I have to say I respect it.
travel.
I can't say with certainty that it is good, but it is there.
Lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another
You
thing-
said maximalism? I don't know.
Sorry,
Another
go
thing that I felt like he like very purposely cribbed was there were moments that felt like the what was the Beatles documentary, the like million-hour Beatles documentary that came
Get
out last
Back?
year.
Yeah.
Was it Get Back? It was all the
Yeah.
footage of them in the studio and stuff. And there were times that it felt like they set up their 3D animated studio. My God, everything was 3D animated. They felt like they set it up to be like that. And that one scene where they had him sort of like composing this huge group to write a song, it felt like they were trying to recreate like, you know, when whatever song it was that they got on tape, the Beatles making in real time. We were like, all right, so that was very popular last year and you want to give me that experience again? Fine. I'll take that along with this like smorgasbord of every other type of cinema.
Yeah.
I just love in movies when they have scenes where somebody is pulling a sneaky rebellion, but it involves the coordination of hundreds of people. And so he's like, Tom Hanks is like, now he's going to do the Sandy Claus song.
Yeah.
And the executive is like,
Yeah.
great. And then like 200 extras and the cameramen and the musicians and Elvis
And the
freaking-
dancers, everyone working overtime.
and freaking Billy from the Stranger Things are all like,
Yes.
I doubt it. And it's just like, how did Tom not figure that out?
Honestly, one of my major questions about the movie was why did the Singer sewing machine people keep coming back? They'd be like, damn that Elvis, see you tomorrow. And then like Tom Hanks would be like, I convinced them to come back tomorrow. You better do it. I'm not doing his accent. But whatever.
It's right,
I'm
because
doing
it's
it.
like,
Now
is it
Lucy-
Southern? Is it German? Because
I don't
those
know.
are two very distinct types of accents, but I didn't feel like he was in either of those.
Yeah,
I've
apparently,
got
did he have an accent? Like, did this guy have an? I don't know if he actually did.
The real guy?
Yeah, like
I watched a video of the real
Even
guy.
Tom
And there
Hanks is
is,
like, sounds normal to me. I don't know.
swear to you, there was a video that somebody posted recently of this guy. he has an accent, sort of like in Jordan's words, the LaCroix of an accent, just like a hint, a taste, and it is nothing even close, not even close to what Tom Hanks is doing in the movie. Tom Hanks has gone.
Why?
He has fully made his own decisions, and he's seeing them through to the end. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I just love when they're like, there's one guy up in the control room freaking out because somebody has secretly disseminated entire scripts to 400 different people, and somehow he didn't happen to get one. I just love those scenes where he's just impotently like, "What? They're gonna do Santa Claus soon, I promise."
Yes, I
Um,
saw a tweet that I would like to read because it will put this in better words than I ever could try. This is from Emma G. Garland. And their assessment of the movie was, I just saw Elvis, and I fully believe that the last thought I will ever have in this life is how Austin Butler gave a career-launching, genuinely Oscar-worthy performance and had to split the screen time with Tom Hanks bowling around a fat suit going, "Dies isn't Christmas." And I was like, yep, that's it. That's it.
And then the next day he's wearing the Christmas sweater where it's like, this will remind them this is what we're doing. If I fully embody the spirit of Christmas, if I come to them as jolly as possible, maybe they'll actually do what I'm literally paying all of these people to do, presumably. It's funny because it's like, who writes the checks? I guess you just do whatever Elvis says, but
yeah, I
it
don't know.
was,
And then he was like sitting on the Hollywood sign being like, this is where I come to think.
So stupid.
Yeah,
It's
he's
also, I
like-
mean, like, I guess
love it.
everybody knows this now, but like the Hollywood sign is not easy to get to.
No, and it's like fully illegal to be that
Yeah.
close to it.
there's no way that Elvis used to go kill some time by walking to the Hollywood sign.
Well, I also
and
love that he was
kicking it.
like, he's like, when I got here originally, this was pristine, but now it's post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
And you like pull out, and there's like the sign is butchered and destroyed.
And also,
like
it
Mad
suddenly it
Max.
says television instead of Hollywood. Was that a metaphor? Did you catch
I-
that?
No. That was one of their crazy transitions. That was just
Yeah.
okay.
Sometimes
This
there's
was
just
just
text in the
television.
sky. Sometimes it's on a newspaper. They can do any transition they want, Jesse, because they haven't
It's
decided
like
what the narrative
Roulette
voice
wheel,
is.
couple
Yeah.
roulette wheels.
Yeah, or like
Yeah.
it's like the moon becomes an RPM, which
The
becomes the middle of a
morphine
guitar.
dripping
Yeah.
morphine into the bag that twists upside down, and then you see the lights through the bag, and it zooms through the bag, and then you're in a casino. It's anything you want it to be. There are simply no rules.
So
Elvis, who is our resident historian, suggests that the Hollywood sign is a metaphor, which is undeniably, I think almost
100%.
everything's a freaking
Sure.
metaphor.
yeah.
But it's still just that. But again, that comes back to my thing where I'm like, what is real?
Yeah.
And what is just like, it feels like he was on a sad Hollywood sign. Oh, he was having a hard time trying to figure out his life.
Well, pretty
Get
good.
a comeback.
Oh, is
If
that
you
your Tom
tell-
Hanks? That was good.
Yeah.
yeah, great.
Hey, it's me,
Good
Tom
timing.
Hanks. Come for a comeback.
Great Watto. Yeah, I feel like we've been, or at least I've been, just like dunking on some of this movie. But Michael, I'm not sure if you know what things happen in the movie that actually happen in real life. Do you have that in-depth knowledge?
Oh, I looked this up.
I mean,
if-
like,
if Mike
I don't
would
know.
regardless.
You know, there's some things that like happened, like the 1968 special, like what you see Austin Butler perform did happen. The orchestration behind the flipping of the camera, et cetera, I think is probably somewhat fabricated. And it's definitely
okay.
fabricated that Elvis sat there and was like, we need a song. That's gonna
Yeah, Bobby Kennedy got shot last night. I
this
need a
one's for
song
Bobby.
today.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't think
Gonna
it
write,
was for
we didn't
Bobby
start
Kennedy.
the fire.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. But I don't know. It's like, you know, we're talking about mythology and like tall tale type stuff, you know, compared to iconography. It gets tricky where you draw the line because this person, I don't know. You guys ever hear that like idea between like what's real and what's true, right? We always remember sort of what's true about a person, right? The true version of that person. But what's real is typically a lot of stuff that we choose to forget.
Yes, and also that in
Um,
the telling of a story, sometimes in order to make the most emotionally true
Right.
fiction, it is not the
Glorified,
it's not the
whatever it
real
is.
story. It's like a whole. Do you all ever have to read the things they carried in high school? Tim
I
O'Brien.
was just gonna say that. Yeah,
there.
I did a
it's that whole
podcast
thing of
on
like
that
story
last
truth.
year.
I mean, an amazing an amazing work of fiction / reality / fiction / ooh.
Right.
Yeah,
You'll
the
never
whole-
know.
Yeah, the whole central thing of that is he either did or he did not kill somebody in Vietnam, but it doesn't matter because he felt like he killed somebody.
Yeah, and
so
then also there's a whole story about like his friend who wasn't brave enough to save another friend out of the mud, and then like later in the book he's like, and anyway, that friend was me, so that's fun. You're like, whoa, I don't know, whatever. Read the book, you ninth graders. Read the book, ninth graders.
it's a great book. I'm gonna pull this one up. They forgot to put the part where he switches with the tribute artist that led to the movie Bubba Hotep. Have any of you seen Bubba Hotep?
These words mean no words to me. I literally read that
This
sentence
is-
3 times and a word went.
This
I
is
don't
one
think
of
it made it.
these. This is one of these movies that I feel like only I and Dave, who films all of our stuff, has seen. It is Elvis switches lives with a tribute artist, goes to a retirement home where he lives with, if I'm not mistaken, JFK, who's still alive, but also a black man, so probably not actually JFK, and a few others, and they're attacked by a mummy, and they have to fight it off, but they're all a bunch of old, crazy men, and it's Bruce Campbell, so it's got
I'm
a
gonna
little
look
bit
it
of that
up.
Sam Raimi vibe. It's kind of horror, but it's obviously comedy, and
Wait, this came out this year? Nope, that says
No,
20.
it did not
That says
come out this
2002.
year.
That says 2002. My eyes are bad. This says 2002. My eyes are bad.
it
Okay.
is. We should watch that sometime because it is so freaking weird, but it's wonderful.
Allie's got that thing that Liz Lemon's brother has, where
Yeah,
gotta-
I got a concussion on a ski trip, and it's not past 2002 for me ever again.
yeah, it's the opposite of my thing, where I didn't create new memories after 1998, but I know
No,
what year it
just-
is.
Oh, well, it's a similar thing. Anyway, so we should watch Bubba Hotep, but in the meantime, really quick, things that are not so true in real life. So Tom Parker was not a great dude, but probably not as pure evil or as specifically like planning everything to the nth degree that he was in this movie. So like it's unclear if he specifically worked out a specific Las Vegas residency deal that was as clear as that. Also, the girl that he marries first, his first wife, she's 14 when they're hanging out initially. They make her look not 14. So that's a little bit glossed over. A couple other little
Elvis's
things
first
like
wife?
that.
Priscilla Presley was 14 when they're in Germany.
German,
Yeah.
just like the daughter of an Air Force general or something. Like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That changes their like conversation so much because they're speaking as peers and they're speaking about like I think she's even like in army fatigues or something. But like what's really gonna happen is she's gonna talk about like what's happening in 7th grade or whatever.
7th grade.
She's like, man, I
Yeah.
just hate math. He's like, I know, baby.
Yeah,
I
I
know.
don't like math either. And she's like, we have so much in common. We both have
also
to read
think-
the things they carried this year in school.
I also, this is just a general thought now that I said math with that voice. I think I'm surprised how often it happens to creatives, and maybe this makes sense, that they don't, like, nobody gives them a bank account that they can look at. Like, I just think it is, I mean, some of this is a tropey thing from movies, but some of it is real life where artists keep just realizing they're broke one day. And I know
Yeah.
they're essentially a whole business and there's people running things and there's money moving everywhere, but I'm still surprised that like it's not more frequently set up that they draw a salary or something. So there's some sort of way that they could keep track of it, because in every movie that's ever happened and any creative person ever wakes up one day and is like, oh my God, no money? Negative money? And I'm just surprised. I'm like, I know exactly how many dollars I have at all
Yeah,
times.
but then
Um,
they always justify it like they did in this movie, where they're like, "Well, Elvis, you spend a lot of money. Just look at this hotel room," and then that's it. They'll never
You're
tell
kind
you
of
anything.
right.
Yeah, and then they're
Yeah.
like, "Well, I guess you should look at this hotel room. I guess it is."
I love
really
to. They're
fancy."
always like, you spent it on the girls. And it's always like, are you suggesting prostitutes, or is he just like buying lots of Xboxes for the women he hooks up with?
Yeah.
Because it could
Yeah.
go either way. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You
Yeah.
guys got any other things before we kick it over to the fans? Oh, I'm not saying it's not true, Elvis. I'm just saying it's
Elvis.
crazy that it keeps helping.
Elvis
or
lives and is
happening.
here.
Elvis is
I-
here. It's like, I'm sorry. It's true. I couldn't do the math.
I
Very well.
again, like I said, there are definitely parts of this movie that I did not think were like good, but like if I was at like someone's house and they were like, "Oh, we were gonna watch Elvis tonight. Sorry, you've already seen it," I would be like, "That's fine. You should turn it on." Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I would
Sure.
never not watch this movie again. I would actually
fun.
hope to watch it and experience some new level of macro
Vertigo?
vertigo. The movie did give me vertigo at one point. I was saying
Nausea.
before it started, but there was like one point where the camera was like spinning. It was like going through a Las Vegas sign, and then it spun upside down, and then it went in a window, and then there were a lot of things on the screen, and it started to make me really nauseous, and I just like kind of like went like this for like 15 seconds until it stopped. So anyway,
It's kind of
I would see the movie again, is what I'm trying to say.
well, it's kind of like I just remember. So I took before we were married. I think I took my wife to see Les Mis, the new one, because I was like, that's a movie that she would like more than what I typically like. But
And
we were
chicks
late.
like this one.
Yeah, chicks like Misery, The Miserables.
Yeah, did anybody end up liking that one?
Well, we sat in the front row because we were late, and it was
Mm.
fine. And I look over at the end, and she's crying. I'm like, oh, and she's like, yeah, I get super nauseous, and I just felt bad leaving. But I was like, just tell me. Anyway, I'm very glad I didn't bring.
She
her to
wasn't
see
crying because
Elvis.
it was sad. She was crying because she was nauseous.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
French,
she was like,
French people make her sick.
yeah, she's like,
I mean, the movie made me sick too. I can't,
like, don't you know my grandfather was killed by a French?
by a
Um,
baguette.
By a baguette. Anyway, sorry. Any last thoughts before we throw it to the unwashed masses, as I affectionately refer to them?
Yeah, I just like the idea that Tom Hanks has like a closet full of different fat suits. like Tony Stark with a bunch of different Iron Man suits, because he was in a fat suit and he was like several different ages. It was just
Yeah.
get a fat guy. Don't make Tom Hanks do this.
Don't make Tom Hanks do this. Don't make
It's
anyone
kinda like-
do this.
It's kind of like Colin Farrell, where it's like you couldn't find any ugly fat dudes to be the Penguin. You have to take a very conventionally attractive Irish
Yeah.
guy.
With a good
Anyway.
normal voice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Who loves lobsters. All right. So what do we got? Sarah Louise says that Austin Butler gave an Oscar-worthy performance with a mediocre script next to. Oh wait, that's it. That's the one. Sorry, you
That's the
stole
one.
it. Sarah stole it. You're a thief, Sarah.
Oh my
Give her
God,
credit.
Sarah. Well, also
All right.
parallel thinking. I mean,
You're-
it's not
You're
incorrect.
fired. No, you don't
Fired?
parallel think that exact thought.
All right. Well, then good thing I saw the tweet so that we could uncover the great news story of 2022. This is the only thing happening in the news right now.
This is another one. The firing Parker thing didn't happen on stage.
Yeah.
And I was
that
going to
seemed
say,
pretty
I was like,
manufactured.
if that happened, that would be crazy, right? Like, I feel
Yeah.
like that would be a more well-known moment in, I don't know, this stuff. Also, he didn't sing Trouble. He didn't do that July 4th. So they didn't trick the Colonel about the special, and they didn't write If I Can Dream. Well,
I believe all of
don't
that.
watch
Thank
the movie,
you,
then it's
Elvis.
all lies.
Also, it seems to me that the icon that Elvis 1015 is using is from the performance we've all been watching, where he swallows the mic and then goes. So now I know more
So
about
dumb.
him than I ever did.
So does that mic. Tell you what. We should all be wearing leather
You don't-
pants.
You simply don't know that I'm not.
He did kind of write 2 songs with his friend Red West. Good to know. What songs? We may never know. Also, many of the songwriters were apparently Jewish.
Yeah,
Makes
like
sense.
Lieber and Stoller wrote like every. If you ever go see the show Smokey Joe's Cafe, it's all just the music of Lieber and Stoller. But also like, this is too big of a musical theater thing to go on. But like black music and Jewish music and creatives sort of like went hand in hand for a really long time, but like all the way back to Tin Pan Alley. I'll talk about this when I talk about the Cher Show.
I think that's interesting. I would hear more about that.
It is interesting. It honestly it is actually really interesting. You can go all the way back to like Scott Joplin and
Make a crack video about it, or it didn't happen.
Actually,
I'll
good.
happily do it. I just think people would be like, this doesn't matter to me. What are you talking about? And I'll be like, I don't know. It's what I studied in college. I had to learn all this stuff, and now it's in my brain, and I'll never forget it. And I didn't learn anything useful. So that's just what I know now.
That's how I got this job. The very first thing I wrote was about a bunch of Star Wars books that I thought only I had ever read. So,
Wow.
you can talk about plays. Everybody
All right,
loves
we're gonna.
Every time you talk about them on this podcast, I'm
Everyone always
yeah.
loves it.
I go to the theater.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about Irving Berlin. We'll talk about whatever.
Yeah, my
How
mom.
about instead of
Tell
all
us.
that stuff, you should explain the history of theater through the lens of just like one weird Dutch guy.
Yeah.
One large
okay.
Dutch man.
It'll be me playing
deal.
Tom Hanks, playing the Colonel, being like, "You ever heard of Irving Berlin?" Yeah, so that'll be fun.
We should do the Tom Hanks Awards. Okay.
Oh, we should. That'd be fun. And of course, then he's gonna get his brain
Yes,
has
don't
been replaced with an egg, and it's gonna be like,
say
damn
it.
it!
Don't say it. Do you know that that's like? Did anybody here ever watch Veep? Veep, the TV
Yeah.
show? That is the final joke of Veep. Is that like, the news about Tom Hanks will eclipse any other news? Do you remember that? I don't want to spoil it because it's like
Hey,
such
he's
a
COVID
such,
#1. Remember,
That's true.
guys? Ooh, guys.
But anyway,
Yeah,
it's such a
he did it.
delicious joke. I don't want to spoil it for people who may or may not be watching Veep.
He brought all the delicious.
He invented COVID.
diseases. Yeah.
Is there anything that guy can't do?
Yeah. Did they have the part in the movie where he met with Nixon and tried to get a badge for a fake U.S. law enforcement institution? Nope.
Oh, is that Watergate? Oh, that's Watergate.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Tom Hanks also invented Watergate. Okay. Pretty sure she said it first. Oh, you're saying she said it first? Like, no, I'm saying you stole the tweet. She didn't give. She didn't.
Well,
give credit
not
to the
everybody
tweet.
takes every tweet and puts it into a notes app so that you can talk about it on a podcast later, which is what I did specifically.
Okay, but it was verbatim. It was copy and pasted from somewhere.
I had also
Look,
seen that tweet before. I think it was a viral tweet, and
yeah, it was. I just saved it.
but also to
See, she's
I
back.
see.
She's
Right.
trying to cover Sarah. We know
Are you,
about
like-
you. She's trying to
Wow.
pander to Allie now, saying that she would talk about
It's
the
working. I'm gonna defend
Sarah.
Sarah to the death.
No, Sarah.
at a certain point,
you sit on a
some
throne of
tweets are
lies.
so viral that they're just in everybody's head now. Everybody.
I actually think
everybody
Sarah
owns
said it
it.
first, and the original tweet didn't even exist. I don't even know what we're talking about.
All right, that's the controversy that'll sell
Conspiracies.
this one. We'll get that tagged on Spotify. Our last podcast about old, where I jokingly said it made me anti-vax because I just grab life by the horns. It got flagged on Spotify, and it's like, just so you know, you should get vaccinated, which is probably true. But after watching old, I'm not so sure.
You'll get
Anyway,
it, man.
Sarah, again, probably lying about this, but she said that Tom Hanks
I mean,
auditioned
funny
for Inventing Anna season 2 because that's also a weird
Good
accent.
joke.
All right.
Very weird.
Also, somebody says that we should watch John Dies in the End, or at the end, which
Isn't
I
that
don't
a
think is a bad
book?
idea because it's written by
Yeah.
Jason Pargin,
Yeah, I thought
aka
that was Parton's book.
David Wong. It's made
Isn't
into
that
a
a
movie.
book though? You can it's a movie? Oh, well, there you go.
It is a movie, and I've seen it. And it's pretty good.
Who's John?
And it has
Oh.
Paul Giamatti in it, and
Yeah.
Jason Pargin is like our daddy in some ways.
That's true. Oh my god, I did it again. It says it came out in 2012, and I said, oh my god, this came out last year. I think I might be sleepy.
Or time means nothing. What was your opinion of 1977? Elvis? Was your
Listen,
guys'
1015 Elvis, you got to be a little more clear. Which one was 1977 Elvis? We
Are
don't
you
know.
talking
which
about
one.
it
like,
was-
end
it was-
of movie?
fat sad Elvis, I guess.
Yeah,
Was he
end
fat?
of movie, last song, sweating at the piano. That's 77. He died in 77.
Yeah, it was very
I mean, I really liked
sad.
that the movie went to showing us the real footage because I think it affirmed how good the performance was at the center of the movie, and also reminded you that Elvis was extremely talented. Like, I think it sort of did the right thing there.
People said that
Um,
he knew he was going out when he's
That-
playing that song. That he was like, I'm gonna die.
Huh.
That's why he's
I
like
mean,
looking
I-
at the camera and stuff. He was like, yeah,
Wow.
I'm gonna die.
I kind of love that.
Trying to
Yeah,
deep
Yeah, every
throat the
time I
camera.
sing, just
Like-
in case I.
Like Michael and I have talked about totally differently while filming something else, it kind of gave me all that jazz vibes, which is also like a person who's like kind of knows they're gonna die. So I liked it.
I don't think you've talked about any movie more than that movie, despite
It
us
is-
talking about every other movie.
It is
You
the best
always bring
movie.
up that movie. If you just
Because
want to
it's
watch
the
the
best
dumb
movie.
movie, we can watch the stupid
Let's
movie.
watch it. You just can't find it anywhere. I would have to like,
Oh
send
shoot!
you
I
a
guess we can't watch it.
It's like not streaming, and it was on Criterion for channel for a while, and then it got taken off the Criterion channel. And now that's not on Criterion. You can't fucking watch it anywhere. I have to like mail you a DVD that I own. It's sick.
It's not
it's
a
sick.
real
It's,
movie.
Sick.
it's real. It's amazing. It's if anybody.
There we go.
Allie,
We
has
should
the
do-
old man.
Can
ready?
anybody in the comments say so? Look, 1015 Elvis, my new best friend, by the way, besides Sarah, says I love all that jazz.
Yeah,
so
but he's just talking
should-
about the
wait.
genre.
no, he's
The next
that's
time
not
Jordan's in
his-
town, we should watch it we should do like a watch along. We should all watch it together.
Please,
Pop it on
End
the
of the month,
Discord.
I'll be
Pop it on
there.
here.
I honestly
the
think
month.
you would love it. I really genuinely think that you would pretend that you were mad that I made you watch it, and at the end of the movie would be like, that movie was incredible, because it really is. It's so good.
I'll be
Jordan,
like,
are you
know what I want?
crying?
Oh,
I'm-
that jazz. Is there a daddy-daughter relationship? Because
Yes, daddy-daughter relationship is a huge part of the movie. Huge. She even
Oh, he's already
choreographs.
like
She even
daddies.
choreographs a little dance for him with Anne Ranking. They go down the stairs together.
I do like that.
Jordan's already choking up.
I can't imagine my daughter getting into jazz someday. All right, so let's do some alt titles. So I'm just gonna start. We're just gonna rip through these because it's already been an hour.
I don't have
And-
any. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you never do. It's fine.
I
I have one for you. So it's,
have titled the last 2 movies, but that's fine.
Yeah, Allie's had some bangers.
yeah, but you weren't even
recently.
there. You were
I
just sitting
titled
there
the last 2
thinking.
movies.
Just kidding. All right, so obviously there's Snow Job, which I think is pretty delightful. Elvis the Levis, because every time that popped up, I thought it was going to say penis, but it never did.
Oh.
So I like the idea of Elvis tribute artist (parentheses) because that's what Austin Butler is, if you think about it. Like if you really think about it. And then
Yeah,
If you
He's
think
the
about
height.
it, he wasn't actually Elvis, which I didn't realize for a long time.
It took me a while, but I did realize that they were different.
That's
people.
why I was so confused. I was like, I thought he was
Thought he was
dead.
dead.
Is this movie? I thought this movie came out last year, but 2012? No. So then the one for Allie, the honorary submission for Allie is I wouldn't take off my pants, but I get it.
Thank you. I mean, I really do still. I stand by that. I really stand by that.
Also, Brian points out that this movie was filmed Boyhood style. Baz Luhrmann had his grandfather started filming Elvis when he was a boy in the 30s or whatever. It's been passed down generations of Bazes. All right,
I love that. Yeah, I
Michael,
wouldn't take off my pants, but I get it. Thank you.
I think that about most things.
It's no
uh,
Prince performing at the Super Bowl when the big curtain came down
No.
and his guitar looked like a penis. But I
It is
get it.
not, in fact, a Prince movie. Yes,
Tribute act.
tribute artist. Michael, what do you got? Anything?
Yeah, I do. I'll rattle some off. I had a Mr. Potato Head in his musical circus, which is a little creative, but I think it makes sense, judging by how impactful Tom Hanks's performance was.
Yeah.
I have is it the camera angles or did Elvis make us all gay? That's one. And then I have Casino 2, which is my last one. Yeah. So
Nice.
that's
great.
pretty much what I got.
I love it.
Ocean 69 is my
Ooh.
new.
That would have worked too.
submission.
That would have been better than Casino 2, probably, actually. Let me write that down.
No, they're all equal. They're all not going to be used probably. Because are you being arrested? Are you
Yeah.
on fire?
That's my ride. Whee! Can I jump out the window?
Jesse, what do you got?
I've got. Oh, I was gonna say just pelvis, but I think you covered that in a better way.
I like Elvis.
Take off your pants and jacket.
Yeah.
And propaganda. Felt like a propaganda film
Oh,
for pop culture.
I thought you were saying
Excellent.
Papa, like PAPA, because like the father figure of Tom Hanks was like propaganda-ing him into pop culture. That's what I thought you meant.
Well, there you go, Allie. You just
Papa.
came up with your own title. You
Yes.
got there, just under the wire.
Woo!
Excellent work, everyone. Now we're gonna kick it to the masses that are unwashed. We got Baz Luhrmann's Colonel Tom Parker, which
It was basically what the movie was. It's an
I don't know if
accurate
that's a
title.
reference to something. Just the fact that he
Mr.
was in it.
Potato Head.
I don't know. We're gonna keep going. Alt title: Will the real Elvis please stand up? Pretty good.
Ooh.
Nice.
The Crown Peen. Not entirely sure what
The
that has
Peen-
to do with anything.
I
The
love it.
Peen's Gambit.
This is my favorite from Sarah. Even though we're fighting, everything.
Favorite one
Elvis
so
all at
far.
once.
Love.
Good.
I do think
Oh,
that.
I saw that. I saw that tweet actually. So,
You're so mean.
I'm just kidding, Sarah. You're great. I appreciate it.
We don't know
That
if
is
you're
a good
great, but we'll let that one slide. We assume.
You have just chosen an arch nemesis today, Jordan.
Look, the only way anybody shares anything on the internet is if they're mad about it. So I'm just trying to make enemies so that more people will watch this. We stream on
Good.
Facebook now, and if you're on Facebook, you're a piece of crap. Share and like and
We're
subscribe.
streaming there right now.
Yeah. Casino
Casino-
Oral.
Casino
Oral.
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 Which is, of course, how I say it.
I think you should just hit it. Casino.
Should we and I
Oral.
engage in some morale tonight?
Casino Oral.
Yeah, is that how Tom Hanks would say it? Get the
Casino
oral.
Oral.
I don't know.
This isn't oral.
Sarah, there are no
I really
parking
like
lots. I
that.
live in Virginia.
I really
It's all
like that,
woods.
Jesse.
Um,
I really like that, Jesse.
Casino 2, The Boogaloo Strikes Back. Feel like we're really digging into this
Fun.
casino. And Bouncing Wiggling Leg. Wonderful. I'm going to hide that comment.
My goodness.
Say
More
that
enemies
later.
for Jordan.
Let's wrap it up. Wrap it up twice, like the guy at the hardware store told me when he found out I was going to college at the end of the summer. That was a weird moment.
Bad advice.
And
Actually,
now
the
you
opposite
gotta
of what you're
raise
supposed to
kids.
do. Yeah.
Horrible advice.
I didn't take it. I'll tell you what. So I got all these kids.
I love it.
Oh, anyway, we should probably talk about literally anything else. My wife might watch this. She won't watch it. She doesn't like this.
Did she see Elvis?
wrap it up twice? No, she didn't.
It would make
remember,
her. I bet you it would make her
didn't take
nauseous.
'cause she'd puke everywhere.
Truly.
Oh my God. Do we have a movie for next week, or are we going to
She would
decide
just
that
weep
later?
silently. She wouldn't puke.
Yeah, I know. Well, now she knows me well enough that she would tell me that she's having a horrible time and or go to sleep. Land
Movie
Before
for the
Time was thrown out there, but maybe we'll figure it out. We'll argue about it behind the scenes.
Should we
Michael?
do a dinosaur double feature and finally do John Patrick Shanley's We're Back, which we have threatened to do many times? We're Back, a
Oh.
dinosaur story.
Well, we'd have to do a double feature. We could just watch the one. Do you feel
Well, then
anything
we
about it?
compare it to the other dinosaur movie and we just talk about how big dinosaurs were in the 90s.
I actually
They were
I-
huge.
They were huge.
I actually wrote
It
a
was so
thing
big.
about that, and it never got made because anyway, whatever. But yeah, it's a very interesting thing.
Politics.
Politics. Ugh. Then Biden was elected. And I was like, I don't even want to make videos anymore. because
Nobody even cares about dinosaurs anymore.
I bet the gas is going to be through the roof. I can't be making videos
Dinosaurs,
about
gas,
dinosaurs.
oil,
Yeah, it's all
oil,
connected.
dinosaurs.
Liberals killing dinosaurs for gas, but making it expensive. Anyway, Michael, thanks for coming on this
Yeah, thanks, man.
podcast. Where can we find you? If anywhere?
You can find me on Find My Friends, or if you spend several hours in a Where's Waldo book. I don't know if you want to check out some of what I do. You can go to the Air Strauss. That's me. You see stuff. I do some comedy stuff. It's fun. It's a good time.
Also
And
on
you
our
can check out more
Snapchat.
crack stuff. Snapchat videos, Movie Club, baby. It's
Yeah,
happening.
club. We got a
Happening.
thing coming out tomorrow about the frickin' Minions and how the memes are insane.
Everything you need to know. It's in there.
Baby, it's the freaking minion. Gonna have me
Maybe.
some fun.
Gonna have me some gum.
Maybe
It's a
it's
freaking minion,
frickin'
baby. You're gonna have me some gum.
Jesse. Things have been invented since when you were a child. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Allie, where can we find you?
Oh, you know, all the usual faces.
That's true.
At Miss Alice Nutting on Twitter. It's among the crumbling remains of our democracy and our lives. I don't know, crumbling Faramazala. And then also doing Gender Swap, which Michael has helped film and direct and stuff, and that was super fun. And we got another one of those coming out at some point. And
Hopefully next Friday.
sounds
see.
great. A lot of wigs, you know, all that stuff.
I wrote that one, so it's fun. Jesse, where can we find you? And just be really clear, because I've noticed every time we say where people can find us, just huge surges in search traffic for our handles and stuff. Just it's crazy.
Of course.
Like every
Yeah.
time we do one of these podcasts, it's like 3,000 new followers. It's crazy. So where can we find you, Jesse? Where can I direct this surge of traffic coming your way?
I would appreciate if you would search my name, but on Ask Jeeves, because I got a really good SEO thing going. Not on Google so much, but Ask Jeeves. I'm kind of the king of that. Or you can find me on Twitter at Eisemann, Eisemann.
And you had a real horny cannonball that came out recently, and there are more to come.
Ooh.
Horny
Wasn't
little
my most-
Chelsea.
It wasn't my most horny, but it was pretty horny.
Which
No,
is
it
the
wasn't.
most
And
horny?
actually-
Tell me.
My favorite cannonball remains the erotic fan fiction one that nobody watched, but it is. I just sometimes sit in my room and watch it by myself.
Shouldn't do that. Tall
it's
HR. I have to carve out another 90-minute session.
The first line that Jesse ever wrote into a script that I had to say live on stage when we were on a sketch team together was an imagined excerpt from a Sonic the Hedgehog and
right.
Tails fan fiction, and it was
Yeah.
like, and I had to like read it out loud like a news reporter, like
Amazing.
very
It was
seriously.
it was about
You
a
sicko.
hedgehog orgy. Somebody grabbed onto a chili dog or something. Yeah, it was
Oh, I wish I
about
could
what you'd
find it.
expect.
I really wish I could find it.
That sounds
It's-
illegal.
It's right here in your heart.
And you can find
Anyway.
me at on the Twitters at _J_breeding, and I make a lot of crack videos. Roger Horton returns tomorrow with if social media platforms were honest, and I got him to say a swear word. So
Which one?
yeah, you have to watch to find out. Anyway,
I hope it's the worst swear word.
it's the worst that I could think of that has nothing to do with specific people's body parts. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Not specific people's, just generally.
Just generally.
General people.
Wiener. Wiener is the worst curse word that Jordan knows, and he doesn't know
A
what it
lot of
refers to.
ones.
I don't know what it is, but every time I say it, people freak out.
My wife hates when I say neener.
That is.
Elvis, you have to stop saying Nina on live TV.
I gotta be true to myself.
You're gonna get arrested.
But if I don't, the Confederates will win.
I can hear the Confederates saying Nina Nina over there. I gotta say it loud. I gotta say it stronger. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna say goodbye. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, bye.
Goodbye.
Indian broadcast. Goodbye. Oh my God.